Death on the Nile is a new mystery detective thriller directed by Kenneth Branagh. It's a sequel to a movie that came out a few years ago, also directed and starring Kenneth Branagh, that was called Murder on the Orient Express or something. Very talented cast assembled for this movie. You've got Gal Gadot, Armie Hammer, Letitia Wright, Tom Bateman, and of course the one and only Kenneth Branagh, who is returning to reprise his role as Hercule Poirot, who is like the world's greatest detective or whatever. The screenplay is kind of adapted from a book of the same name from back in the 1930s, and it essentially follows a murder mystery that takes place aboard this ship in the middle of the Nile River. So the setting is Egypt, and Hercule Poirot is among a group of guests that is on board this cruiser that is in the Nile River, and then all of a sudden, you know what's gonna happen, right? Somebody gets killed, it wasn't their fault, and then a whole bunch of weird things start happening, and then Hercule has to put all of his detective intellect to good use as he tries to figure out who committed the murder and why. The movie actually was supposed to come out last year, I think, and it kind of kept getting delayed because of the pandemic, and then finally we get it this year. And then it also has this weird thing. It has this stigma where like a lot of the people that are involved in this movie are all of a sudden seen as much more problematic than they were when this movie was first announced and when we first got like a trailer for it. This movie is really more about the can they beat the allegations casting than it is about anything else. But at the end of the day, you're here to watch a murder mystery. The thing that I can say about this movie is the same thing that I said about Murder on the Orient Express, which is Kenneth Branagh, both as a director and as an actor, starring as Hercule, is easily the best thing about this movie. This is competent and at times high-level direction with some terrific visuals and great use of the setting and the location in Egypt. Aside from a couple of shots of iffy green screen, overall the visuals were very well done. Kenneth Branagh is a guy that's directed several movies by now. You know his style, you know what he's gonna bring to the table. He brings an old-fashioned sense of justice to a story like this. The Hercule is easily the best thing about this movie. He's the best character. You're really interested to see his interrogation of all these different characters on this cruiser. When it comes to the rest of the cast, I can't say that anybody was bad, even though nobody really stands out. If somebody does stand out, it's Gal, I guess, because Gal, okay, like I know she's beautiful and she's hot and she's like a goddess and all of that stuff. Like I'm putting all of that aside for a second. Beyond the fact that Gal is really great to look at, as always, she's probably asked to do the most with the material that she's given in the movie, relatively speaking. They all did their jobs. I just can't say that anybody was like, oh yeah, they were great, just like Kenneth Branagh was as Hercule. I guess there are some twists that pop up that people might be interested in. There was really only one twist that kind of caught me by surprise that I wasn't really expecting, but outside of that, I mean, you know, it's your standard issue murder mystery whodunit movie. The movie's trying to point you in the direction of different people for the entire movie. And there's a nice little sleight of hand with that as it gets to the finale that I do kind of appreciate. When it comes to the movie as a whole, there's just not as much of it that I can appreciate as I wanted to. And it's really a shame because I do like Kenneth Branagh and I do love this character, but this movie is just kind of It's just kind of a movie that exists and it's fine. And I can't really highly recommend anything about it other than Hercule is pretty cool when he's investigating shit. The beginning of this movie, like the first hour, is actually really tough to get through. I get that they were trying to set up some characters and they were trying to lay the groundwork for the stuff that was to follow. Only half of that character stuff was set up in an interesting way or made you really want to get behind these characters and make you really care about them. As usual in a cast like this, some people are going to feel like they're utilized to the best of their ability. Some people are going to feel like they're only doing the best they can with what they've been given, and some of them weren't really given shit. So it's just one of those movies where your interest in the narrative is going to vary depending on how much you actually give a fuck about how well they set up these characters. And they take so long to set certain things up that it takes a while for the story to actually get in motion, and that made the movie feel like it's a lot longer than it actually is. When it comes to the overall mystery of the movie, the why of everything that's happening, it's not really a very interesting mystery. Like, it's not really a great story. When you finally get to the ending and you get to the reveal of everything and the twist, it's just gonna land with a dull thud instead of the bang. You're gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what happened. But this wasn't a bad movie. I did somewhat enjoy myself, and if you're going to watch it for anything, watch it for Hercule investigating shit. That's what he's good at, and that's what the movie is good at. Anything outside of that, I mean, I wasn't really that invested. Death on the Nile was an okay enough murder mystery, not really anything special. I'm gonna leave this one in the fortress of solitude. Are you gonna be watching the Super Bowl this weekend, and which team are you rooting for, or what's your thing that you're most looking forward to from Super Bowl weekend? Go ahead and put that in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.